Welcome to Escape Room Reviews. I'm Zach.
I'm Brian.
We just recently got back from a quick 3-day trip down to Phoenix for his birthday, where we did 12 games in the 3 days, and we're going to tell you all about them.
So I just took a look at Morty, and Phoenix actually has about 150 actual escape rooms. I excluded VR, I excluded outdoor, I excluded pop-up. 150 rooms, that's actually pretty good. Yes, Phoenix has a large metro area, but I was still amazed at that. You just don't hear Phoenix talked about. Traditionally, you hear SoCal, you hear Orlando, obviously 13th Gate, Baton Rouge, and only recently have I started to hear about Phoenix, so we went down and checked it out.
So the first room we played shortly after landing, it was kind of a mad rush from the airport, is Paragon Escapes. It's down in like way southeast, technically not even Phoenix anymore, but it's still in the metropolitan area. Now the only downside of this place is it is like 45 to 60 minutes from actual like downtown Phoenix. It's way out there.
Yeah, it's in Mesa, and yeah, it took us a bit to get there.
So the only room they have right now is Return of the Pharaohs, which they opened about 2 years ago now. And they've got 3 other rooms planned, and supposedly they've been kind of simultaneously working on all 4. So hopefully they get their next rooms open soon, because this one was really, really well done. I think it's probably the best Egyptian room I've ever been into.
Yeah, absolutely.
The set was impeccable. I mean, it felt like an Egyptian tomb. You know, the puzzles all made sense with the theme. Good clue system. GMs were friendly. Like just a really good all-around experience.
Yeah, the what stood out for me, set was great, but the puzzles were great. But the lighting and music cues were amazing in that room. And then I'd also like to say that the kind of surprise twist or the surprise ending was really cool. Yeah. This was a difficult room. I felt we were it was kicking butt actually to start. I thought we were doing really well, but all of a sudden you look and you go, oh crap, we're running out of time. But great set. I mean, truly amazing.
Sand on the floor.
We didn't mention, there's sand on the floor. We played 12 rooms, and of those, 3 of them, actually the entire floor was sand.
Or dirt.
Had not seen that ever before, and here a quarter of the rooms were. So that obviously adds to the immersion. The puzzle does reuse some of the items several times, but it works in the room.
Yeah. And it's usually pretty clear what you're reusing.
Yeah, and I thought there were some very clever puzzles. The set was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Arguably, it was the best overall escape room. I think there were a couple sets that were slightly better, a little more cinematic maybe rooms.
I think it's probably my second place as like an overall escape room personally, right. But I would agree. It's if you're going to Phoenix, you have to make the little hour trip down to Paragon.
And hopefully they get their other 3 rooms.
And hopefully they have other rooms, so it's not just for one game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that one was great. So after that, we went to Nemesis Club. So let's start off. Nemesis Club, you pull up and you see on the window it says Nemesis Club, but there's no door to get in. If you've read any Morty reviews or anything, there's other than I'm not spoiling this, and we had read them, so we knew ahead of time. But next door is an ice cream shake, a specialty shake shop. You go in there, and then you go through the freezer door to get into Nemesis Club. Again, here staff was great. We actually, from Paragon to Nemesis, there was an accident on the freeway. We got behind. We called. They were totally cool with it. Rightfully so. They could have potentially canceled one of our games, but they were great to deal with. No problems at all. And so they've got 2 rooms. Mogollon Monster. Sorry, I mispronounce that every time. It's their Yeti Bigfoot room and Evil Robots. So the first one we did was Mogollon Monster, and I got to tell you, it was insane. The GM takes you into the tent
Because you're like new Ranger Scouts, new monster Rangers.
Yeah, and actually, let me back up. The place just had a vibe to it. It was really cool. It was like an old gentleman's club.
Mixed with Hogwarts. It was...
I don't know, it just had a cool vibe to it. And then when they took you to the door to go in your room, you didn't necessarily know there was even a door there. So, fantastic. Anyway, sorry about that. The GM takes you into, opens the door, and you enter this cloth tent, or canvas tent. And sleeping bags are dirty. I mean, the set was really well done. And then the cinematography starts and the immersion starts.
Yeah, it's... We talked about it a little after the trip and kind of during. The best parts of Mogollon were the beginning and the ending. And obviously we're not going to spoil the ending. And even we don't really want to spoil the beginning too much for you. But just... It was straight out of Disney. Like, it was all theatrics. It was amazingly well done.
Yeah. Bigfoot was with you. He was right outside.
You felt his presence.
You did. And the entire set, not only the look, the sound, but the smell even. I mean,
and the floor was dirt again.
The floor was
got
dirt.
Dusty.
I swear they were pumping in dust because it wasn't us kicking it up. It felt like you were outdoors. Felt like you were at camp. And then continuing on with the set, you'll see in the pictures there's an RV that you eventually get into, and
it looked like an old camper.
It was cool inside, and let's just say the Yeti.
He doesn't like you being in there.
Yeah. So that part was just amazing. The part for me where it falls down just the slightest is the puzzles.
Yeah.
There were some okay ones. There were some that were super simple. Some that were, I've seen before. I guess what bugged me was there was one where you knew what you had to do. You see the things, you go, I know what I have to do with those. And yet we must have spent 20 minutes. One person at a time was kind of working on it for 5-minute stretches while the other two were in our group were doing other puzzles. And it just got frustrating. And at the end, when you mention, that was my only, disfavorite thing about it, the GM says, everybody struggles with that. Well, maybe redo it, because it did leave a slight bad taste. But is this a room you should go to? Oh my God, yes. It was so cinematic. You just felt like you were in a movie.
I would say, I think that's it. It's amazing for enthusiasts, but it'd be even better for beginners, because if you take them to this and they're like, this is what an escape room is, like, they're gonna be hooked. And same with Evil Robots, the other one at Nemesis Club. Actually, same with everything we played, but Mogollon especially was just like pure Disney magic the whole way through, and which makes sense because the owners used to work at Disney. I think one of them ran the food court and stuff, which makes sense for the ice cream shop.
Yeah, she does the ice cream, and then one of them
was a former Imagineer or engineer that worked with them. So it makes sense.
Yeah. No, it was really good, and the prices were extremely fair. We didn't mention it, but Return of the Pharaohs was $35 a person, and Nemesis was $38. You're gonna find that anywhere, or more.
Or more expensive than LA or Orlando.
For the quality and the production value, it was amazing. So after Mogollon Monster, we did Evil Robots, which is their second, or the other room they have open. Again, set was just beyond what you would believe possible. In this one, I will say I liked
the puzzles
a lot more. I thought there were some very clever ones. But for me though, this room is the surprise ending. The twist at the end was cute,
hilarious,
funny, and just so well done.
And so the whole room has, as you'll see in the pictures, which, by the way, just a sidebar, Nemesis lets you take pictures in the room, just not of puzzles obviously, but just whenever you want, which, thank you. Again, if you're going to build a beautiful set, you want people showing it off.
Yep.
But so you'll see we have a couple pictures from throughout the room. And it's got a very 50s future, like retro futuristic vibe, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Some great technology use. I think our GM was saying it is one of, if not the escape room with like the most technology in like all of the U.S. Like fit into one single room. And
she said that. I don't know
how accurate it is. I haven't gone and tested it,
but no, it was incredible. Was there a regular lock anywhere?
No,
I don't think so. And use of lasers and different things.
And tracking and there's one really cool puzzle with the mean robot's laser. But yeah, just all in all, really well done. I think at Nemesis, Evil Robots was my preferred room. Mogollon was my preferred like experience.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the Mogollon was just so cinematic and movie-like. It was incredible. But I think the puzzles were better, and from start to finish was a better room. And then the surprise ending was awesome. And then Nemesis Club, kind of cool. At the end, they say, "Were you going to have a shake?" And we said, yeah. I assumed they would say, okay, go back through here to the shop. No, they've got some seating in the back rooms there in the hallways. Get you set up, bring you menus, take a look at these shakes, people. And yes, my wife's orange creamsicle had a full orange creamsicle in it. His
and
Oreo.
A full Klondike bar,
Yeah, crazy. We were supposed to have dinner after that. We did not.
But it's a week's worth of calorie in one cup.
Yeah. So anyway, from Nemesis Club, we went to The Greatest Escape. Great little family run. It's husband and wife. Looks like they run it with some of their kids and let their kids do GMing and things like that. So 2 rooms. They're at $33 a pop. They've got Museum of History and Isle of Wonder. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about
museum? So we start with the museum, and I think probably my favorite like museum art heist room that we've done, which is a fairly common theme in escape rooms.
It is, yeah. The set was
pretty good,
decent, but I thought the puzzles were good.
Yeah, the puzzles were really good. Good flow to them. A lot of like teamwork based puzzles, which was nice. Just an all around really solid room, I think.
Yeah, no, there were a couple things that stood out for me as being great. And then, like I said, the GM, one of the sons, came in afterwards, and any questions, took photos and all that. Just very friendly people to work with. Yeah. And our only one hiccup and one hint we needed in the room was our own stupidity, as it usually is with most rooms, you know. Yeah, oops, we forgot there was something in the first room we hadn't dealt with yet. And then the next one, Isle of Wonder, was our 5th room of the night, and that's after getting up at 4 a.m. and flying and all that. So the funny thing is, it should have probably been our worst room of the day just because of our exhaustion. It was 8 o'clock at night or 7:30 at night. But we had a blast. So this one, again, all sand. The entire floor was sand. It was done up kind of like a tiki island sort of theme. Yeah. And this one was definitely non-linear. Let us split up. I liked the puzzles. I felt again, they incorporated lighting and sound cues into it really, really well. But the puzzles on this one were just fantastic. Yeah. It was fun. All the puzzles and all the rooms we did, this is one I still talk about. A couple of the puzzles in there. Had a blast. It's in no way on the same level as Return of the Pharaoh, Paragon, Evil Robots, or Mogollon Monster at Nemesis, and then one more we'll talk about later. There's almost like 2 tiers of rooms. I mean, there's 4 that are just top notch. Yeah. And I saw somebody's post on Escape Room Enthusiast Facebook group where they talked about the big 4 in Phoenix, and there's definitely 4 that are head and shoulders above the rest, but they're kind of head and shoulders above most things in the country. I was really surprised. This place, Museum of History, Isle of Wonder, were on par or above most of your average escape rooms around the country. not super standoutish, but I mean, but actually really well done. The problem is if you've done the other places, Paragon or Nemesis or Immersive Machine first, you might be slightly let down, but don't, or maybe go to this one first. But honestly, we had a blast. We did get out with
22 minutes left.
22 minutes left and no hints.
Yeah.
Normally, that leads to you thinking you were kind of cheated, or
we killed it. It was too easy. Yeah,
we didn't care. We just had fun. It just flowed.
We went to dinner after, and we were talking about like what was our favorite room from the day, stuff like that. And the consensus was we couldn't pick a favorite of the big ones, Paragon and Nemesis Club. But that Isle of Wonder was by far the most fun we had.
Yeah, it was just a fun experience
all the way through. It was laughs, it was smiles. It was really, really well done. I mean, there's puzzles I had seen before, but like we talked about the next morning, they were all still had a unique spin on them. It was stuff I'd seen, but done differently or done with the theme of the room.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it was not linear, we could split up. We were all just cruising through it. The signposting was great. You always knew what you were supposed to work on. You knew what went with what. I just had a great experience. So that ended day one, and back at the hotel, or finally to the hotel at about 9:30 at night. Long day.
Yeah.
And then day two.
Yeah, so day two we went to North Valley. It's up north of the Phoenix area, as you might guess by the name. And we started the day with Curse of Fall Mountain. This place had a total of 8 rooms? 9?
I think so. There was one that was a challenge room. We only had 3 people. We're not going to do a challenge room.
There was the spy room, and then there might have been one other. They had 8 or 9 rooms. We did 6 of them. We've done 7 previously at Dare to Escape, which we talked about, and that was too much. So we opted for 6 this time. First of all, great employees.
Yeah,
great.
Steve was the guy's
I think the manager, the day manager.
Day manager, a guy at the front desk coordinating it. He made sure every GM knew our preferred hint system.
Yeah.
He was constantly getting us to the next game. He just made things happen. And every single GM we had during the day truly loves their job, but truly loves escape rooms.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, and we talked with the game masters after and in between games, and they were asking questions about other ones we've done and stuff like that. So they were fantastic crew there. So the first game we played was Curse of Fall Mountain. It's supposed to be like a cursed cabin, and then you go out into the woods and you're trying to escape this cursed cabin with all the ghosts and stuff. We both agreed the first kind of half of the room, pretty much the first 2 rooms of it, were a little lacking.
Yeah, they were okay.
They were okay.
Yeah.
Once you actually get out of the cabin,
into the campground,
into the campground and the graveyard and stuff, the production quality spikes, the fun spikes. It just gets a lot better. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of fun stuff in the room overall.
A couple jump scares, but not necessarily a GM banging on a door type thing.
Although that did happen twice.
Although that happened twice. But no, there was an area where portion of the set is rigged to move and everything.
Yeah.
And it made me flinch a little bit, but right away I was like, oh my god, that's cool. I hadn't seen that before. So
yeah. I don't know. It was their scary room, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was like you said, there's a couple jump scares. Yeah. But otherwise, just good atmosphere, good puzzles.
No, it really was. I mean, my wife kept saying, I wish you guys would come and do up our house for Halloween, because the graveyard and the set around there was just amazing. Yeah. And some of the puzzles were good. There was where I thought there was the coffin, and there was something on a tombstone that kind of led you to the coffin, and I said, I think you've got to close the door and hear by itself. And
there were actually a couple isolation puzzles in that one.
Yeah, but they were cool and they made sense. So.
Yeah. Well, and with the theme of the haunted campground, it makes sense that you're locking yourself away and embracing death and all that. So
yeah, no, and you do become Ghostbusters at the end, so it actually becomes hilarious, funny. You're running around like little kids. So this was a slow burn. Still enjoyed it, and we were laughing at the end and having a blast. But yeah, it's definitely a tale of two halves there. First half is kind of slow, but then it gets really good.
And 75-minute room.
Yeah.
They have 2 different 75-minute rooms. We started the day and ended the day with them.
Yeah, so then the next one we hit was ZZ's Big Top Circus. I think by far this was my wife's favorite room. This one was just fun. I think I would categorize it as fun. Had some good theming, was good. I mean, a circus theme, you've seen it here and there. It's pretty easy to do. I think they did a good job though.
Yeah.
Hint system in this one was phenomenal.
So cool.
Something I've never seen before. And props to you guys for doing that. You know, the days of walkie-talkie are just speaking into the air. It's got to go. Be creative. This place was creative. I didn't mention it. The first room actually had a really good hint system.
The ectophone.
But this one had a really cool hint system that involved a gumball machine. And just a lot of fun. Great puzzles. Some midway sort of games, which I know some people take exception with and go, oh, they're not puzzles. They're activities, whatever. I still had fun doing that.
Yeah, I think it was fun.
And you still had to, there were puzzles involved in them, so it worked. For me it wasn't the top one like my wife, but
I think it was my third place.
I still had a good time in there, and anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think it was my third place overall, and I think other than Funhouse at Crossroads in LA, I think this was probably my second favorite, like, carnival.
Yeah. No, I will say I think my wife really liked it too, because the magician makes one person disappear and go into a separate part of the room by themselves for a bit. So, and she did that, and
she likes any chance to get away from us.
That may be it.
So next we did Legend of the Seven Stone, which is their Egyptian-themed room. Now, obviously, comparing it to like Paragon's Egyptian room, but it was actually really good. Very like Indiana Jonesy. Some really cool set features. You know, spikes falling down from the ceiling, pressure plate type puzzles. A lot of like really cool tomb stuff.
Yeah.
Fun ending with a good twist. It was not what I was expecting in the room at all. And yet another part of Isolation. I'm only now realizing I think they like Isolation.
Yeah, they do. And I will say that's probably my only slightest little knock on this one is one person, after you do, you get past the spikes and figure out the pressure plates and all that stuff, one person has to go in and do a puzzle by themselves. The problem was, when I went in there, it wasn't obvious which puzzle I had to do to get the other two to join, because the new space introduced so much.
Yeah.
And there was too much to look at. So, in the meantime, Zach and my wife were out kind of twiddling their thumbs for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, while I figured out which one I was supposed to do to get them in. But I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of the puzzles. I thought they were very, very clever. And the surprise twist ending was fantastic.
Yeah, I think this was
really well done. We killed this room.
We got the record, yeah.
Yeah, no hints or anything. But I still, and we got out early, but I still had a great time. I mean, everything was pretty well done. All right, what did we do next? Next, Arizona Steampunk Railway. Okay, they went above and beyond on this set. You get onto a train. You feel like you're getting onto a train, and then this thing moves the entire game. Now, if it does make you sick, you can ask them to turn it off, but otherwise you were on a clickety-clackety moving railway that's constantly moving. You hear the noise. There was air in all the right places.
Yeah.
The set was really well done.
Yeah, there was a part where you like open up a hatch and you're looking onto the actual train tracks, and they have like a projection of the train tracks, and you feel air blowing in. It was very immersive. And
between the cars too. When you went from one car to the other, it did the same thing. Couple real clever puzzles in this. One that stumped us a little bit, and then my only slight knock on this, and some rooms do this, where you solve the puzzle, but what did it do?
Yeah.
And so we did have to ask at one time, and the GMs, oh, you had it right, you solved it. This drawer should be open up in the conductor area. So that I don't care for too much, but really well done. I mean, this set just goes above and beyond.
Yeah, and the puzzles were all really good too. I mean, like
Yeah.
the bottle puzzle, that cool box at the beginning.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was all very like it felt steampunky. All the puzzles still made sense. I don't know, just overall really really well done room. I think it's probably my favorite at North.
I would agree.
Probably that, then
Yeah.
7th, then the circus. Just all around really really well done room. And I think they're best set wise as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, the sad thing is, I think these are a tier below the big four, Paragon, Nemesis, and Immersive.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad or they didn't go far enough. The others are just so crazy well done that these, if you do those first, then these kind of, But if you look at them by themselves compared to other games elsewhere, they're still really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done some train rooms, but not one that you actually felt like
nothing
you
like
were
this.
getting on a train, literally stepping up onto a train and then it moved. Yeah, fantastic.
So we went to lunch, came back, and then we went into Intrepid Explorer, which is their space room.
Yeah, and reading Morty reviews, it sounds like this room replaced something called Dark Sector, but from everything I read, they didn't change much to it. They had issues with Dark Sector, replaced it with Intrepid Explorer, but didn't fix the problem. So, first impressions, though, getting on, the set was spectacular.
Yeah.
You could pick this up, put it in Disney or Universal, it would fit right in. You would never know this was done by an escape room company and not, Disney Imagineers or something. Very well done. Unfortunately, that's kind of where the praise stops.
Yeah, so the room struggles a lot with being, it doesn't have great signpostage. The room looks non-linear because it just shows you so many things you can do right away. And even the central lock mechanism in the middle of the room where you input a bunch of codes, it shows you here's 4 puzzles right here, right now. But the game's not non-linear. It's very linear, and it's not clear what point A is. You get in, you watch your video, you're vacationing amongst the stars, and you might be doing some research.
Yeah, basically you're going on a trip, you might have to help out with some experiments.
Yeah.
And then it just starts the room and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, it plays Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones, and so you go and press the start button. But then after that, it's just never... None of the puzzles felt super intuitive. I mean, there were a couple I did while you guys were working on that maze thing that were pretty simple. But they were, on the topic of that maze, some kind of frustrating puzzles and stuff opening or completing that we weren't sure about because it did it behind us. Just, I think frustrating is the word, because it could be really, really good.
Yes. If this was signposted, if there was a reason you were doing things, if something appeared on the screen and asteroids were happening, you now had to close shields or whatever, cool, okay. But there was never any reason to do something. And even when you finished a puzzle, you didn't know if you did it right, you didn't know if it completed, and that was really frustrating. They did one puzzle where it was a certain sequence of lights, and then when it finished, it started doing a different sequence, so the thought was you had to keep working on that. Well, no, it was done. It had displayed something on the ceiling or up on the wall behind us that we didn't notice, and there was no sound, there was no nothing to indicate it was done.
I will say, so while the puzzles and the iconography and the signage lacks a little, again though, the room does have some really good theatrics.
Yes.
The alien breaking out of containment that happens at one point, really well done. I've seen space rooms use aliens before, and it's almost always lame. This was really cool.
It was really cool, and it finally gave the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the room a purpose.
Yeah.
Before and a reason to do things, a reason you were doing a puzzle that made sense. Before that, quite honestly, I couldn't wait till it was over. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
The set was phenomenal. The surprise ending there was good, but the middle 50 minutes.
Yeah, and that's and if you're watching from North Valleys, again, you guys have great rooms. Intrepid was the only one where it just didn't quite click for all of us.
Yeah, and when the GM confirms, yeah, everybody gets off to a slow start in this room, maybe work on that.
Yeah.
Have a reason for doing something. I'm not big on storyline. I usually don't care. But if you're not going to have a story to push along, you need to have some sort of signposting so you know. And then something to tell you, yeah, you did that puzzle correctly.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Even just like a robot voice coming over and being like, engines restarted, or, you know, like
Yeah,
every time
something.
you do something. Like, we finished off the night with Escape from Alcatraz, which I want to say is their newest game. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely their biggest game.
Oh, yeah.
It's
sprawling.
massive. Massive game. 75 minutes, so, you know, it gives a little reason as to why it's so big, but it is, I think it's probably the biggest escape room I've ever been in. It was huge.
It was, yeah. Yeah, this thing just went for days.
Great puzzles, great set. Again, like North Valleys always does good on their sets.
Yes.
I mean, you felt like you were in a prison. There was even a little second level that you could see. in the
Yeah,
prison.
yeah. I mean, above and beyond what they had to do, but
Yeah.
it really added to it.
The room starts with a live actor. It's the only game we played with a live actor of the whole lot. And the live actor is hilarious.
Fantastic.
He's amazing. I don't remember our game master's name, but he played the role of Lee, a man in prison for murdering JFK. Very, very well. It was definitely the standout part of the game for me. The only problem with that is it's a part of the game. It's maybe the first 15 minutes, and then Lee goes to sleep, but actually works on escaping, and now you're kind of following his trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah, this is one that started on a huge high when one of the employees is taking you in.
As the warden screaming.
As the warden screaming at you and you know, fresh fish, and here's the rules, and put you in your cells. Split start, by the way. Mm-hmm. And split start with the
different
live
roles.
actor in between. So yeah, really well done. So the intro puzzles, I was having a blast. The live GM having a blast. Forget the fact that they just threw you in jail and 2 seconds later you're trying to escape. You know, I'm along with that.
Everyone wants to get out. You don't want to be in jail.
Yeah. But again, then after the first 15 minutes or so, when the live actor goes away, it drops off.
Yeah.
Not that it gets bad.
No.
But it drops off. And it's noticeable that you start out on a high and then come down. Some decent puzzles. I don't think there was anything that I was like, ooh, that's super clever.
I liked the barber stuff. I wish we had done the barber stuff correctly instead of sitting there for 25 minutes. But once we got it, I liked the barber thing.
Storyline a little weird because, again, you just got in jail, now you're escaping. Your not cellmate, but the guy in the cell next door escapes after he went to sleep, and you know you break in and you get through and find out he's gone. Solve some more puzzles, get to different parts of the prison. Again, the set was amazing, but here again we solved a puzzle and some steam went off in another area, so but we weren't sure what was next. Well, turns out we'd done it correctly.
A wall popped
Something
open.
had opened
Yeah.
or unlocked, but we weren't aware of that. You know, that gets a little frustrating. And then in the middle of it all, we helped solve a murder. I could not figure out how that tied into the story.
Yeah, getting into the warden's office and finding out who killed a guard. I mean, getting that eventually... getting the number from that got us into the lockbox with a key into the last room. But why the warden had it locked with the murder victim's number and why we were solving it, not super clear.
And again, story usually doesn't matter to me, but there's times it can detract. And this might have been one where I went, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, this room is a real toss-up because set-wise, I mean, it's on par with like Mogollon and Robots and Pharaohs. But puzzle-wise, it's just, I don't know, it's got some of this. And again, live actor, amazing.
Yes.
Dude was hilarious. I wanted to join the group for the entire game. I wanted him to be a part of our group.
Yes.
And he was not. I gave him my shoe at one point. Like, yeah, they were trying to hand me something from their cell, and he like grabs it in the middle and is like, "If you want it, you're gonna have to give me something." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Can I have your shoe?" Sure. Dude was awesome.
No,
it just starts to fall off after that a little bit.
And you just start so high and so well. It's like, yes, and then, but still a good room. I would still give it a heart. I would still recommend people do it, as is the case with all North Valley rooms, with the exception of Intrepid Explorer. So that ended day 2. Day 3, we woke up, had some breakfast, went to Immersion Machine. Immersive Machine, and did Sal Cybernetics. This, of the big 4 or whatever, the 4 that are talked about the most in Phoenix, this is the newest. They just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. And it sounds like you always get one of the 2 owners there. And Kaylee, I think, I apologize if that's not it, was fantastic to talk to.
Yeah.
Great host, great GM. Again, a huge standout on this was the set. Post-apocalyptic, kind of that cyberpunky.
And you'll see plenty of pictures and videos because again, we talked to her at the end and she was like, "No, go take pictures in the room. I'll reset so you can show off the game."
She said, "If you're gonna build a great set, why not show it off?" So
which that is also a little slight dock on North Valley's.
Yeah.
The only room they let us take a picture in was the circus.
Yeah, so we did 6 rooms. I posted reviews to Morty, and 5 in a row had the exact same picture of us in the lobby. Only could take a picture in ZZ's Big Top. I don't understand why. They have amazing sets. Yeah. Let us show it off. Nobody's looking in the background to figure out puzzles and stuff. Yeah.
But anyway, back to Immersive Machine.
Yeah, so I'm going to say again, clue system, hint system, GM interaction, well done.
So well done.
It's an object in the room. Again, we haven't played every room in the world, so I've only seen this twice before at Keystone Escape Games in Reno, at Dragon Alley, and also at Weeping Witch at Crossroads in Anaheim. Those are the only 2 rooms I can think of where we interacted with something in the room that was alive and really well done. The thing's name was Crumbs. Take a guess at what it was, but it was pretty well done. Cute, simple, but really cool. You interacted with it. You had fun with it. Yeah,
and he was hilarious as well. I mean, he was our buddy by the end of the game. Voice changer was great on it as well. Because it was obviously the GM, but the voice changer was really, really well done. Set was phenomenal. This was my standout game of the whole trip. This is my favorite of the 12. Puzzle wise, amazing. It was non-linear, but it was well signposted. You knew what went with what. The only thing we couldn't show off was the last bit of the game, and the last bit of the game was super fun as well.
Yes.
Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but just a fun game from start to finish. I think we took 44 minutes in the game or something. It has variable difficulty.
Yes. And she left it on hard for us, but it can be switched on the fly, completely unaware to the players.
Yeah, which I can think of maybe like 2 things that they can edit with the variable difficulty. So I'm very curious to
give props on that.
Yeah,
but great. Obviously, again, we said the set was amazing, but the puzzles were really good and really fun. Some were little tweaks to things we've seen before, but I don't. They made it fit with the theming of the room, and had a blast doing it. And that last room, so good, so much fun.
And this is the first escape room I've seen incorporate VR, like not as a VR escape room, and it made sense with the thing is
Yes.
you're getting hooked up for an upgrade and all this. And so somebody like puts on the VR goggles and is seeing things that the other players don't see and has to instruct them. So well done.
Yeah, it's just clever. Clever use of that.
And you didn't see inside the goggles. It was actually, they made a virtual version of the room.
Oh, really?
Like, what I saw around me was kind of low poly, but it was like the rest of his cybernetic shot. It was so cool.
And then if you're just a fan of sci-fi in general,
Cyberpunk, yeah.
There were just little Easter eggs everywhere in the room. Everywhere. I mean, Demolition Man to, I don't know.
Cyberpunk 2077, 2099? Anyway, the Cyberpunk game.
But yeah, just movies, video games, all sorts of stuff everywhere in plain sight. If you knew what it was, you got an extra little chuckle out of it. If you didn't, oh well, it fit right in.
Yeah.
You didn't know. So, yeah, so again, I would say there's a big four. South Cybernetics at Immersive Machine, Return of the Pharaohs at Paragon, and then Evil Robots and Mogollon Monster are four standouts for just their production quality. Just amazing. But that is no slight at all to Greatest Escape or North Valley Escape. Those were very, very good games. North Valley, especially their sets were just amazing.
Yeah.
A couple little things maybe to work on in a few rooms, but if you haven't been to Phoenix or hadn't even thought about it, I know it doesn't have the amusement parks like SoCal and Orlando, but if you're planning just a quick little 2, 3, 4 day getaway, go in the winter. It's nice and warm there. Like I said, they had 150 rooms. I will say too, Paragon is working on
Their next three. Nemesis is opening.
Nemesis's third room should be open in the next 2 weeks, 2 months.
Something like that.
It always happens. As soon as we left Orlando, Crazy Train opened at Doldricks. And then
Greatest Escape looks like they were working on their Dragon Room.
They were. And then Immersive Machine, it sounded like they have plans to do 3, 4 rooms, the entire facility, and then do something where you play all of them together in a day with everything meshing.
And make the lobby look like a cyberpunk city. Just, that'll be cool.
Yeah, and so you can't go wrong at all. Like I said, out of the 12 rooms, there was only one that I didn't care for. It still gets a lot of hearts on Morty.
Yeah.
And it's because the set's amazing, and if you just stumble into the right puzzles or somehow they just click with you more than they did with us, you're going to love it. So I highly recommend going to Phoenix.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we only did 3 days and packed the 12 games in there, but we very easily could have done the rest at North Valley's, some of the ones at...
There's a place that has 16 rooms.
In one location.
United Escapes of America has 3 locations there. One of their locations has 16 physical rooms, which is insane. We didn't go there at all. I have no idea how it is.
All right, it's super highly on Morty, but the point is, like, if you are going to pick a vacation destination and you've done SoCal, LA, San Diego, Orlando, stuff like that, Phoenix should absolutely be on your list because it is definitely coming up there in escape rooms. And I mean, a lot of these are only recently opening. Immersive is a year old, Paragon's 2 years old, Nemesis is 3.
Yeah, they just don't have...
They're all new.
Yeah, they don't have that pedigree that the basement and some of those long-standing rooms in LA have that everybody's been talking about, or 13th Gate that everybody's been talking about forever. These are up and coming, but the staff at every place was amazing. The owners we talked to were great. The sets were just off the wall. I couldn't believe it. And we had a great time. So don't snooze on Phoenix. If you've been there, did we miss some good rooms? Did we? What were your thoughts on Intrepid Explorer? Is there anything you thought we got wrong? Let us know. And until next time, go
Escape
escape a
a
room.